Vista Chino is a rock band that consists of John Garcia on vocals, Bruno Fevery on guitar, Mr. Mike Dean on bass, and myself on drums. And we're a rock band. Vista Chino is an extension of a band called Kyuss that John and myself were part of back in the late 80s, early 90s. And John and I, along with our bass player Nick Oliveri, put that particular band back together in 2010 and started touring and decided to cut a new record. And during that process, there were a few folks out there that weren't too happy with us using our name, so we had to change it. And we changed our name from Kyuss to Vista Chino. Well, as a youngster growing up out in the desert of Southern California, where I'm from, music was something that I just kind of gravitated towards. I heard lots of it and all kinds. But in the late 70s, early 80s, rock and roll kind of seemed to be what was mostly around my ears. And punk rock specifically was a genre of music that kind of allowed me to believe I could actually maybe do something musically, be in a band. And I did. Punk rock kind of motivated me to pick up, some drumsticks and bang on a guitar and get together with some friends and start playing. And punk rock was also kind of the style of music that I began playing. And then the punk kind of just fell away and I was left with rock. But I'm still a punk. The Ramones, the Ramones, Black Flag, DOA, The Damned, Sex Pistols, just punk rock. I got excited about punk rock. It was, guys in the neighborhood were listening to Kiss and the Stones and AC/DC and Queen, and all these are all fantastic bands that I enjoy as well. But back then there was something really powerful and really exciting about discovering bands that had a really, really intense sound and weren't super popular. We're kind of like underground. Before I fell in love with music and even pursued it in terms of becoming a musician, I was an artist first. I always say I was an artist first and a musician second. I'm about as right-brained as you can be, and I was always creative and drawing and painting and, fascinated with all kinds of creativity as a young person. And really, punk rock to me was also an art movement. I was artistically excited about it. I think that original, and even though I was much younger, from a different time in terms of the original explosion of punk rock, but all those bands to me were was part of it was reactionary. It was part of a movement, and it was very artistic, and very creative, and very, the Ramones, which was probably my favorite band and biggest influence, was a very, very constructed and well thought out and calculated band, and I think it was done so from a very deep creative place. It was an artistic vision and it was fully realized and very powerful. And so like punk rock, definitely bands like Black Flag and all that stuff was very artistic, very powerful. Definitely the message behind it was as important as the music. I think my soul is kind of lost somewhere in the late 60s. So obviously not being here during that time, as a child I grew up in the epitome of 70s, the era of major brands, and branding was reaching a huge level. Kiss is a perfect example. A band that was a good band, great songs, cool band, but completely, premeditated commercially. It was all about making a commercial impact and being a brand. And I don't think music had ever really seen that before. And I think punk rock was kind of a reaction to that. You know, it's like a non-commercial, equally as calculated, but more coming from like a guerrilla kind of like get back to the roots and really deliberately make it not something that can be totally embraced by the masses or exploited by big business. You know. Well, when it came time to do artwork for this particular record, you know, Vista Chino being a name of a street out in the desert where we're from, it's kind of like represents our root. I thought it'd be really cool to get some local artists from the desert where we're from to kind of create the artwork. So the record was recorded in the desert, conceived in the desert, and the artwork is true desert art. And the Date Farmers are, you know, just a couple of guys from the desert, the east side of the desert, Indio and Coachella area, and it's predominantly Chicano, and they're Chicano artists, and they make fantastic art, man. And it's really artwork that is really represents where we're from and kind of the art that we kind of grew up with.